Do you ever feel like you don't know where to start when it comes to your money? You could read books or watch videos on YouTube to learn more about how to improve your finances. But most of the time, the advice won't really help you. Today, we want to change exactly that. Today, I'll show you 6 basic financial knowledge you can live by. If you follow them one by one, you save more money, spend less money, and be better at managing your money overall. These money rules are so easy to follow, but they have such a big effect that you can save $200 to $500 a month or more by following them. Hello everyone, welcome to Success Wisdom. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 basic financial knowledge to live by. If you're new to the channel, do like and subscribe to the channel. Before we get into the 6 financial rules, here's a quick note. I'm not just going to tell you the rules. I'm going to tell you how to follow them. So make sure you stay tuned and listen carefully so you don't miss anything. Rule 1. You should have no credit card debt. The first rule is that you shouldn't use credit cards and get into debt. This rule is simple and works because the interest on credit card debt is so high that it forces you into a cycle of taking on more and more debt. This is because the interest reduces your income, which means that when unexpected expenses come up, you have to take on more debt, which increases the amount of interest you have to pay, and so on. As you can see, it's best to stay away from credit card debt from the start. And if you already have it, you should pay it off as soon as you can. Again, use a certain percentage of your monthly income for this. And if you want to know what you should do first, I'll tell you. Then the order is credit card debt, emergency fund, or long-term investments. 1. Get out of debt with credit cards. 2. Set up a fund for emergencies. 3. Invest your savings for the long term. Rule number 2. 6+ months emergency fund. This rule is to save up at least 6 months worth of salary in case of an emergency. As the name suggests, an emergency fund is money set aside in case you have to pay for something unexpected, like a big repair bill or in the worst case, lose your job. If you lose your job, you won't have to worry about money for at least 6 months. This should give you enough time to find another job. You should put this emergency fund at the top of your list of things to do to improve your finances. So before you think about making other investments, you should set up a fund for emergencies. It's easy to figure out how to build it up. First, decide when you want to have money in your emergency fund. Second, figure out how much of your monthly income you want to put into your emergency fund each month so that you have enough money for an emergency by the time you've set. This of course assumes that you already know the basics about your finances, like how much money you make and how much you spend, and that you already have made a budget to keep track of your money. If you don't, you might overestimate, and when you look back, the math might not work out at all. Rule number 3. Invest 20% of your income for the long term. The third rule on basic financial knowledge is to invest 20% of your income for the long term. How this rule can help you with your emergency fund in a nutshell? If you don't have emergency fund yet and want to start saving for long-term investments, divide the 20% into 10% for long-term investments and 10% for your emergency fund. So if you make $5,000 a month, you would take 20% of that, or $1,000, and put $500 into long-term investments and $500 into an emergency fund. As a side note, you shouldn't build up your emergency fund with a stock portfolio. An emergency fund is for getting cash quickly. And if you now have your emergency fund in the form of stock investments, it's possible that when you need the money, your portfolio may be in the red and you won't have enough cash to cover your unexpected expenses. On the other hand, your long-term investments are there to protect your hard-earned money from inflation, put it to work for you, and give you more money when you stop working. People don't think much about what they will do when they retire, or they think about it too late. To avoid this happening to you, start investing 10 to 20% of your income for the long term as soon as you can. Building an ETF portfolio is a simple way to invest your money for the long term. The 35-25-30-10 ETF portfolio is one example. The goal of this portfolio is to divide the world index into North America, Europe, emerging markets, and the Pacific. One reason for this is that the major indexes put too little weight on the European region, with either the MSCI North America or the FTSE North America, you can invest in the US and Canada. The Stoxx Europe 600 is a mixture of the stock market in Europe. In this case, the MSCI Europe is a nearly identical alternative. MSCI Emerging Markets and MSCI Pacific are added to the portfolio to cover the emerging markets and the Pacific region, respectively. Based on its region's GDP, an example would be 35% North America, 25% Europe, 30% emerging markets, and 10% Asia Pacific. With this combination, a single savings rate can be used to invest in more than 2,600 stocks all over the world. Before we continue to talk about 6 basic financial knowledge, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Rule number 4. Don't care about what your neighbors buy. This next rule also often makes us buy things we can't really afford. The next rule is that you shouldn't look at what your neighbor buys or what someone else has that you don't. Just because a person or your neighbor has a nicer car doesn't mean they are better, more successful, or ahead of you in any way. We tend to define ourselves more by what we own than by who we are. This makes us make bad buying decisions when our neighbor or someone else around us has something better than what we have. This makes us spend money we don't have or spend money we don't need to. To stop this from happening, you need to make a budget for yourself and stick to it. If you don't, you risk letting outside factors affect your buying decisions. Rule 5. Take more walks. The next rule is to just leave your car and walk or ride your bike. So put it to the test. Check how long it takes you to drive your usual routes by car and by bike. You will find some routes where it makes more sense to go by bike, especially since gas prices are going up. And if you want to know how to save more money, the 6 money rules on the right will help you. Rule 6. Drive cars until they break down, new or used. Last and final rule of basic financial knowledge is that you should drive your cars until they really stop working or until the cost of fixing them is more than the car is worth. The best person to show this is Warren Buffett. In an interview, his daughter said that her dad drove his cars until she told him it was time to buy a new one because the one he was driving was so old. Far too many people spend too much money on their cars, even though the one they already have works fine or would be as good as new if they took better care of it. From my point of view, this is the biggest problem. Most people buy a new car, take very good care of it for the first 3 months, and then do nothing to it until something breaks. After 3 years, they buy a new car. You could save a lot of money if you took good care of your car and drove it until it really didn't work anymore, or its value was so low that it wasn't worth it to fix it. Another tip for buying cars is that if you can't pay for it 3 times, you can't afford it at all. In other words, if you have $60,000 in the bank, buy a car for $2,000 instead of $60,000. We've reached the end of another video, and thank you for watching. I hope you have learned about 6 basic financial knowledge. If you like this video, do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. Thank you and goodbye.